Let me tell you Naldo's story. A simple guy, kind-hearted, hard-working, but he almost lost everything because he loved the wrong person too much. He thought he was building a relationship, but in reality, he was the only one holding that rope. And you know what's worse? This could be happening to you, and you haven't even realized it yet. Take a deep breath now. Just imagine. You wake up every day, give your best in the relationship, try to be the support, the friend, the ideal partner. But deep down you feel empty. It's as if the love you offer is invisible, as if you're loving alone. And the worst part, no one around you seems to notice or care. Have you ever felt this? Naldo felt it too. He sacrificed himself, thinking it was love. But deep down he was disappearing, losing his essence just to keep someone close, until one day he looked in the mirror and thought, is this love healing me or destroying me? Now listen carefully. If you feel like you need to love to feel complete, you may be on a dangerous path. A path that takes away your shine, your peace, and in the end, your identity. But there is a way out, and I'm going to show you, as Naldo discovered, that it is possible to find yourself again. Stay with me until the end, because this message can change your life. Have you ever felt like you're disappearing, just to keep someone by your side? I know you're looking for an answer, something that can really change your situation, and I want to help you with that, always bringing content like this that makes a difference in your life. So if you want more tips on how to build healthy relationships and live a full life, subscribe to the channel now. Don't miss any videos that can transform your journey. Let's do this together. First, the story of someone who gives everything and receives almost nothing. Naldo was the kind of man who believes in love, a man of his word, loyal, a companion. When he falls in love, he gives himself up, without games, without hiding anything. He met a woman who, at first, seemed perfect. Smiling, attentive, sweet. She said everything he wanted to hear, and Naldo, who had already collected scars in the past, thought, now it's going to happen. But over time, the mask fell. He sent her good morning messages. She left them empty. He asked her how her day was. She barely answered. He needed affection, presence, and she disappeared. She only showed up when she wanted something. A favor, a ride, a loan of money, and even then Naldo was still there, determined, believing that love, that was it, convincing himself that it will get better, that if I try harder, she will change. But the truth, every effort he made was a piece he left behind. He was fading away and he didn't even realize it. Do you feel like you're giving everything and getting almost nothing? Second, love that erases you is not love. Do you know what took Naldo a while to realize? There are people who don't love you. They just take advantage of your love. That person who disappears when you need it most. Who says they love you but never shows it. Who only shows up when they want something. Naldo thought it was patience, but it was self-abandonment. He was trying to turn coldness into affection, trying to justify absence with love. But true love doesn't make you doubt yourself. It doesn't make you walk in silence or walk on eggshells. He stopped laughing. He distanced himself from his friends. He stopped taking care of himself. He thought he was being strong, but he was nullifying himself. Pay attention. When you love more than you are loved, you enter a dangerous cycle. You keep quiet, you accept crumbs, and forget who you are. Have you forgotten yourself just to keep a relationship alive? Heard, the day Naldo looked in the mirror. It was a seemingly ordinary night, one of those nights when the body arrives before the soul. Naldo opened the door to his house slowly, with the weight of the day hanging on his shoulders, but that weight wasn't just from work. The house was plunged into a cold, almost hostile silence. No note, no message on his cell phone, no trace of affection or reminder that someone was waiting for him there. He dropped his keys on the table as if surrendering his weapons. He took off his shoes, step by step, as if each movement betrayed the tiredness of his soul. He went to the bathroom. He washed his face with cold water, but when he raised his head and looked at the mirror, it was as if he had been punched. There was a man who he barely recognized. His eyes, once full of brightness, now seemed lifeless, dull, distant. That light smile he always had, half shy, half confident, had disappeared. His face betrayed a weariness that went far beyond the physical. He stood there for a few seconds, staring at himself. It was as if he were in front of a stranger who one day was him. And then, as if in a whisper stifled by time, he thought, "What have I done to myself?" At that moment, the penny dropped with the force of an avalanche. He realized that he was fighting alone, that he was insisting on someone who didn't even remember how he drank coffee, who never asked if he had slept well or if the day had been difficult, someone who only remembered him when he needed it, a favor, support, a solution. And all of this he had accepted, out of need, out of fear, out of hope, because he believed that love was sacrifice, even when the sacrifice was himself. But there, in front of the mirror, something changed. It was as if, for the first time in a long time, he heard his own inner voice. He took a deep breath, wiped his face, and said in a low but firm tone, "From today on, I choose to love myself first." There were no screams, there were no accusations, there was no scene, just a tired man who at that moment decided that he would no longer abandon himself, that he would no longer diminish himself to fit into the world of someone who did not see him. And it was like that, in this silent gesture of dignity, that Naldo began to return to himself, return to his essence, return to being the man he had forgotten back then. Because sometimes the greatest reunion in life is with one's own soul. Can you recognize yourself in the mirror, or do you feel like at some point you lost yourself? Fourth, how many times have you forgotten about yourself? Maybe Naldo's story is his, but between us, how many times has your life been similar? How many times have you held on by yourself without complaining, as if it were your obligation to keep everything going? Remember that time when you were exhausted, your body begging for rest, your mind screaming for peace. But even so, you kept it all quiet just so as not to hurt the other person. You went, you did it, you acted strong, and no one saw it. No one even thanked you. How many times have you wanted to vent, but you swallowed your words because you knew that the other side would only receive judgment or indifference? You pretended that everything was fine. You put on a smile, told a joke at Sunday lunch, but inside your heart was empty, colorless, without enthusiasm, all to avoid a fight, so as not to be called weak, too sensitive or dramatic. You gave in over and over again. You stopped going out with your friends. You stopped doing what gave you pleasure. You gave up on old dreams because the other person didn't see any point in them. And, little by little, you faded away. You stopped being who you were, to be who the other person needed you to be. But tell me, who takes care of you? Because men feel too, they also cry, even if it's in the shower or in the car, with the music turned up so no one can hear. They also get hurt. They also want to be held. But the world insists on telling us that we can't show weakness. But that's not weakness, it's humanity. Naldo, after being faded away for so long, realized something powerful. When you start to love yourself, what was hurting you starts to lose its strength. When you understand your value, you stop accepting crumbs. It was only when he started looking at himself with affection and respect that everything started to change. He started smiling for real again, listening to his favorite songs again, sleeping peacefully again, without that weight on his chest. And this, my friend, is true for any age. You don't need someone to complete you, that's an illusion. You need someone who walks by your side, whole with you, and not someone who takes pieces of you. Because at the end of the day, the greatest rescue you can make is to rescue yourself. How many times have you sacrificed yourself to try to keep someone close, and in the process, ended up losing yourself? What about you? Are you ready to change your story? Have you ever looked in the mirror and thought, enough? Now it's my turn. Because, my friend, time doesn't go back, and what you do with it defines your life, your peace, your future. If Naldo's story spoke to you, maybe it's time to stop, to reflect. You deserve love, but not just any love. You deserve respect, presence, and truth. Lift your head. Remember, The first love that should be cared for is yours. Are you willing to choose yourself for the first time in a long time? If this message touched you, like this video now, share it with a friend who needs to hear this, and comment below, what did you feel when you heard this story? Because together, we become stronger and start writing a new story. A story with more self-love, more dignity, and more truth.